Hey there, my darlings! How are you? I hope that you are doing amazing! It's DarlingDTarot bringing you another pick-a-card reading. So for today, we are going to be getting right into this and asking the question, what does their family think of you? So this will be going over any thoughts, feelings, or emotions that they have towards you, and also what they feel your intentions are going forward. So as per usual, we have three beautiful piles here in front of us. We have stack 1, stack 2, and stack 3. Now you can choose based off of the energy of the pile, the number of the pile, or the item associated with each stack. So for today, we have this adorable pin. It's a bowl, so get it? Oh my gosh. So for stack 2, we have this gold heart pendant. And for stack 3, we have this basket of 3 little kittens. How cute are they? Oh wait, there's my camera. Okay. So I will give you a few seconds to choose. Let us clear our minds and take a deep breath in. Let's hold it. And release. And with that, I will give you a few seconds to choose your stack. Now you can choose more than one, you can choose just one or all 3. If your pile does not resonate with you, you can always go back and choose another one. But for now, let's just spend a few seconds picking our piles, and I will see you then. Bye! Hello to everyone who picked stack 1. Let's get right into your reading and see what does their family think of you. So starting off with your first 2 cards, these are going to be your animal language cards, and these are talking about characteristics, qualities, and traits that they think of when they think of you. So starting us off, we have number 36, orange-bellied parrot, and number 11, lion. Woohoo! So both of these numbers right off the bat, number 36 would be the number 9, and this would be the master number 11, are both very spiritual numbers. These are people who are very in tune with themselves and in tune with others. You might even be an empath, and that's something that they quickly picked up on, is that you're very compassionate, you're very understanding, and you're very open-hearted, right? You're not someone who is going to pass judgments, or you're not someone who is going to kind of sneer at people and be like, oh, well, I wouldn't have done that, right? You're someone who's very understanding, and you're also very generous. You're generous with your time, with your money, with your love, with your emotions, and I feel like you're very open and honest, especially with this being a parrot and a lion. They're both very loud animals, right? Because lions can roar, and they could really get in your face and be like, this is how I'm feeling, whether you like it or not, this is me, this is who I am. I feel like you're someone who expresses yourself very openly and very honestly at the same time. You're very genuine, you're very authentic and unique, and that's something that they really love. I feel like it's a breath of fresh air, right? Because maybe in the past, this family, whether you're friends with this person or you're dating them, I feel like their family members have felt like, well, they've not been with people who have been honest with them, or they've not been with people who really value their time together, right? And I feel like you're the complete opposite. You're someone who is not going to be on your cell phone the whole time you're with someone. You're someone who is going to be very in the moment. You might even lack pictures, right? Because you're constantly living in the moment. You don't want to waste your time taking pictures, because maybe that's how you feel. You're feeling like, how am I going to enjoy the night if I'm constantly behind my phone taking pictures? I'm not going to remember the night as something that I lived. I'm going to remember it as just a memory that in the making, right? If that makes sense. But regardless, with number 36 being the number 9, I feel like you're someone who is very independent at the same time. You're someone who can stand on their own 2 feet. And with lion too, this is talking about leadership. It says power, loyalty, leadership, and family. So I definitely feel like, you're someone who can take control of a situation. You're someone who is very self-reliant at times. And maybe even you prefer to be alone. For a lot of the people who pick this stack, maybe maybe you guys prefer to have your meditative time and your quiet space, right? You're not someone who likes to constantly be out, and that's a way for you to recharge kind of after having to be out in the public eye and after having to be so bubbly. You like to just kind of withdraw kind of inwards and just take time for yourself. And maybe that's another thing that they really love about you, is that you ruminate, is that you reflect, is that you think about things, right? And especially before you act and before you go forward. You're not someone who is going to impulsively say things or be like, oh, well, out of spite, be like, well, I never liked your shoes anyway, Tina. Like, you're someone who is very honest, and you're someone who is going to be like, hey, I'm not feeling good. I just need to take some time for myself, and you're going to excuse yourself. You're just very polite is kind of what I'm hearing. Now, I love that we have family, because I feel like not only do they think that you're family oriented, but I feel like this is also confirmation that this family is probably talking about you a lot, but it's all good things. It's all good omens, because honestly, the next card we have is the Ladybug card. And it says, this is a good time of good fortune and abundance, so be willing to receive all good things in your life. Now, look at all of the times that we have good in this card showing up. So honestly, it's just like good, 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 good. And that's your energy, is like, you're a good egg, right? You're someone who is just absolutely wonderful. And I think that they really love you. But going back to Lion really quick, I feel like they think that you're someone who is very much in control of your own life, especially with power. I think that they think of you as someone who's very dedicated, someone who's very courageous and very brave, and someone who just goes out and does things, right? You're also very loyal. I know we kind of touched on that before, but again, you're someone who sticks up for those that you really love. At the same time, I feel like you're someone who is always going to be there for the people that you really care about. It might even be like 4 a.m. and someone could call you and be like, yes, Peter, what do you need, right? And you'll always be there for them. And I think that's something that their family really, really loves about you and really respects at the same time, right? And also with number 36, Orange-Bellied Parrot, it says radiance, expression, communication, and acceleration. So maybe another thing that they talk about is how fast you guys kind of came together, whether you guys are friends or are together romantically. I feel like their family is probably like, wow, like this all happened really fast. But it's not a bad fast either, because sometimes when people get together, you can kind of be like, ooh, did you see Diane? She got together with Tim really fast, but it's going to be more like, wow, this was such a blessing. It came out of nowhere. Like, it was almost like they were just hiding right around the corner and you bumped into them, right? And they might even feel like you're someone who is very lucky. Maybe you're someone who is constantly winning things, or maybe that's just kind of the energy that you give off, is that you're someone who is very abundant, and you're someone who tends to look at life more abundantly. You're someone who doesn't live in lack. I feel like even when you have bad days, you're someone who is going to just kind of spend it inside reflecting and then kind of regroup by yourself. I don't think that you're someone who relies heavily on other people in that kind of a circumstance, if that makes sense. You're someone who probably likes to just deal with their problems on their own, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that they think that you're someone who is strong enough to be able to do that, while having other people rely on you and lean on you. With Ladybug, again, I think that they also see you as someone who is very graceful and very beautiful at the same time. Regardless of if you are male or female, you're just someone who has a very beautiful energy and aura about you. It's almost like you can walk into a room and people just have to look at you. It's almost like you have this magnetic energy about you that draws people in like moths to the flame. So allow yourself to keep speaking up, keep making those jokes around their family as well, because I feel like that's something that you're very loved for, even though you are someone who thinks everything through. When you do finally kind of interject a joke, or when you do break the silence, it's very, very greatly appreciated. And I feel like you're very much a favorite, right? With the number 11 too, this is also talking literally about the number 2. So it's talking about balance and talking about unity. So I feel like you're someone who might even also really, really value partnerships and value loyalty and value being together with the people you love. So, going on to your next two cards, we have a Secrets of the Mystic Grove card and an Angel Inspiration card. So, these are going to be talking about your energy and, what sort of energy you're bringing into the relationship with this person. So, we have number 10, Imagination, and number 6, Archangel Jophiel. Okay, so these are really beautiful cards and literally beautiful. Remember how we were talking about that you're someone who has a very beautiful energy? That brings us into Archangel Jophiel. She is literally the archangel of unconditional beauty and everything in life that could be beautiful, right? Looking on the bright side, looking at the silver lining, finding kindness in every situation and finding the love in every situation as well. Especially with the number 6. This is, again, talking about someone who is very generous, who is very forthcoming. You might even be someone who is very career-oriented. Some of you who picked this stack might be very, very career-driven, and that's something that this family really loves about you. It's almost like they find that incredibly admirable, that you're always chasing your goals and you're always striving to that next level. Now, with this archangel, this is really talking about you're someone who, even as you're going through change, as you're going through metamorphosis, you are someone who is always saying, well, I'm going through this for a reason. Everything happens the way that it's supposed to. And even though this has been a little bit tough, can you imagine how smart I'm going to be at the end of this? Can you imagine how wise? So I feel like you're always looking on the bright side. You're always having a really beautiful perspective on life, and especially on hardships and on trials, because you are someone who has had maybe even a fair share of them. Maybe you're someone who literally has seen the darkness and you've had to rise from it almost like a phoenix, right? And you're someone who has emerged becoming this beautiful peacock. You've cooled down, but you're still beautiful, right? You're still someone who is so vibrant and so out there and so unique. There's no one that's like you on the planet. So we also have number 10, Imagination. Now, before I go on to this, I just want to talk about, I think another thing that they might tell other people is that there is no one like you and they'll never meet another person like you. And that's something that they think of, is the fact that you are unique. It's almost like they'll be doing something and out of nowhere they're like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool that they do that. You'll just suddenly pop into their mind. Now, I don't know if it's like this person's mother or it's this person's father, but it's definitely like a parental figure that's just sort of like, wow, that's pretty cool that they do that, right? I also feel like maybe there's something that you do, like they look at teapots or look at teacups or something and they're like, oh, wow, Deborah would really like that, So there's just different things that maybe even gets their imagination going. It gets them thinking of you and it gets them almost actively manifesting you into this person's life a little bit more as well. I just feel like there's so much momentum and so much energy, especially with the moths in the background. Now, we did have butterflies here, but the fact that we have moths is talking again about intuition and talking about the fact that you are someone who is intuitive. You are someone who, can kind of guide their way through any situation just based on your gut feeling. You're someone who's a very good judge of character at the same time. Now, with number 10, Imagination, it says conjure dreams and create. So again, they think that you're someone who is creating their own destiny, creating their own lifestyle at the same time. Now, with dreams, they see you as a dreamer. They see you as someone who thinks big, someone who doesn't restrict themselves to societal norms or what you should be doing, right? I feel like you're someone who, if you want to write a book today, you want to write a book. If you want to become a Jell-O manufacturer tomorrow, then hey, sign me up at the Jell-O factory. Maybe you're going to become a llama herder next week. That's cool, Tim. Go do that. But regardless of whatever it is, I feel like you're someone who is just always being true to yourself. It's almost like that song from Mulan where it's like, true to your heart, you must be true to your heart, right? It's like literally like that. But maybe you're someone who's also a bookworm. Maybe you're someone who's very well read, very well educated, and very knowledgeable. You might even know a lot of fun facts, and that's something that they really love about you. They find that very, very cool, right? They're always like, wow, Sandra knows like the coolest facts all the time. And maybe that's just something that they talk about offhand, like, oh yeah, I learned this cool fact about squirrels the other day. You want to hear about it? And it's almost like they're constantly thinking about you, but in a very sweet way, in a very loving way. And maybe they're even, like I was saying, conjuring you up. They're summoning you. So going on to these next two cards, these are going to be your animal totem cards. And these are talking about if they could sum up your energy into two cards, what would they be? So we have the Page of Cups and the Two of Cups. Now this would be Seal energy and Hermit Crab energy. Woohoo! So these are really awesome cards to have. I love these two energies because seals are seen as very, very magical creatures. We honestly think back to Selkies and these magical creatures that would get entrapped by people. They'd leave their skins on the side of the shore, and people would just kind of come up and be like, hey, you're mine now, Miranda, and they'd put it on, and they'd have to be married. But it was almost like the Selkie was so desirable when they were in their human form because they were so compassionate. They were magical. They could grant every single wish that you had. And I feel like that's your energy. And that's something that maybe they tell this person is, this is someone who is a catch. Like, you will never find someone like them ever again. They would be an amazing spouse. They would be an amazing parent. This is someone who would just be your partner in crime, right? And maybe they even tell this person, like, if you were to pass them up, you would be a clown. Like, that would be some next level clownery, right? Now, with this Page of Cups, they're really talking about that you're someone who is very forthcoming about emotional offers at the same time. Again, you're very expressive with your emotions. You're someone who is very sensitive, maybe even very sentimental, and maybe you wear your heart on your sleeve. Maybe you're someone who is constantly telling the people that you love, hey, I'm proud of you, good job that you did today. You're just really always reaffirming people and telling them what all they did right, right? And maybe you just really like to have people feel useful and have people feel wanted and loved and supported, right? And that's something that they would tell other people, is that it's a very admirable trait of yours, is that you always look to people and try to uplift them. It's almost like you feel the need to make other people happy in a way. And I feel like you're someone who wants everyone to be in harmony, to feel happy and to feel successful and to just kind of go with the flow, right? Because that's very much your energy. If we were to look at this seal, she's just kind of going with the flow. She's riding the tide. She's like, yeah, okay, this is cool. And I feel like that's very much your energy. You're very easy to please. You're not high maintenance. You're not high strung. You just want to have a good time. You just go out to have fun, to party, and then you go home and you relax and you rest for maybe a few days. Maybe for some of you that picked this pile, you're a little bit of a homebody at the same time. And that's another thing that they would really boast about to other people, is that, hey, this is someone who loves to stay inside and take care of their plants, or take care of their animals. They really love the fact that you are so protective of your space and that you see it as your sacred space. Maybe you're someone who is also very good at interior decorating if this family has been over to your house. But again, I think that they think of you as someone who is a great catch, someone who anyone would love to have as a spouse. Now that brings us to the Two of Cups as well. This is someone who is very humble, very down to earth. Now when I think of Hermit Crab energy, I think of someone who is incredibly intelligent. Again, that goes back to that energy of someone who is well read. But again, Hermit Crabs, they're very good problem solvers. They're very smart. They constantly are thinking, how to do things in a more efficient manner. And that's something that I observed when I had my tank of hermit crabs, was that they are incredibly, incredibly smart. They will get themselves stuck on a high perch, and other hermit crabs will come over and they'll work together. So I also feel like you're someone who is into teamwork. You're someone who, you're very generous with your time when it comes to your friends and when it comes to your family. And maybe that's even why with this Lion card, it highlighted family, because you are someone who is very social. Even though they're called hermit crabs, they are one of the most social animals I have seen, right? They get very lonely. They have to have friendship. They have to have companionship. And maybe that's even the same vibe for you, that yes, you can achieve your goals by yourself. You can take this time for yourself, but at the end of the day, you love having people in your life to take care of. You love, to some extent, being a people pleaser at times as well. Now that's something that maybe they even touch on, is the fact that you are someone who is trying to please other people a little bit too much, right? So make sure that you're staying in check of that you're not overextending yourself for other people. But regardless, with the Two of Cups, again, they see you as someone who is very balanced and someone who is very much in that emotional kind of loving energy. I love that we have two cups that describe you because it's very much in a high regard that they see you in. It's very emotional. It's very loving. It's very feelingsy, right? So that's just absolutely beautiful. But I also wanted to touch on the fact that I feel like they also see you as someone who openly is okay with just being like, yeah, this is how I feel. Do you like me? Do you want to go on a date? You know, are we boyfriend, girlfriend now? Or are we a pair? You know, like what's going on? So I feel like you're someone who just is completely okay with just putting yourself out there. Like, and maybe that's something that they really love about you is that they'll say, you know, like, did you know that Miranda asked Debbie out? And she was just like, hey, you know, do you want to go out for coffee? And it was just so nonchalant, you know, and they love that. You know, they love the fact that you're not someone who is going to wait for their family member to have to make the first move. And remember how I was saying in the past that they didn't have a relationship or even a friendship with someone who was as forthcoming and someone who was as okay with just being like, hey, you want to hang out? You want to go do this? Or this is how I'm feeling. This is how I feel about you. It's almost like this person had to go through a guessing game for a long time in regards to other relationships. And that's something that they really love about you is that you are so open, you are so friendly, and you are so just very, very open. It's almost like your life is an open book. So going forward onto these next three cards, these are going to be the overall energy of how they view you. So we have the Eight of Wands, followed by the Four of Cups, and the Four of Wands. Oh my goodness, 2 4s, woohoo! So that's right off the bat talking about solid foundations. They see you as someone who, really craves stability, someone who craves a good foundation going forward. And that's maybe even talking again about the fact that you're a homebody, that you like to kind of stay indoors, maybe even when you're not indoors, at your house, you're working indoors, you're, just kind of doing that. But at the same time, with the Four of Cups, we have this imagery of this man outside with plants. Now, some of you might have a lot of plants in your house, or, maybe it's just even saying that some of you are, when you're not in your house, you love to go on hikes. You love to just kind of relax in nature, but you're very much detached from the rest of the world. You're not on social media. You're not worrying about what Bob is doing down the street. You're very much just kind of closing your eyes and meditating. Maybe you're people who do yoga, right? Maybe you like to just kind of go out and hike and set down your yoga mat and just kind of go for it, right? But with the Eight of Wands, they see you as someone who is very dedicated and very determined, someone who just kind of goes for their goals. Again, they see you as someone who is very driven, someone who has their eye on the prize, right? And I feel like they see you as someone who is just very much in that forward moving energy. You're not someone who is looking back on the past. You're not someone who is constantly like, well, I could have done this a little bit better. I could have done that. No, you are someone who is constantly moving forward. You're someone who is constantly looking to the future and how you can better your future as well. Now, here's the interesting thing is with the Four of Cups, they see you as someone who is picky, right? But it's a good pickiness. And I really, really want to stress that, right? Because some people can hear the word picky and they'll be like, ooh, no, I don't want to be picky. But it's good to be picky, right? Especially when it comes to love offers. We don't want to just accept anyone that's like, oh, hey, baby, you want to go to Dunkin' Donuts with me? Like, no, you have to, maybe feel it out, use your intuition, use your gut. If it's someone that you don't really feel good about, you're someone who's going to say no. You're someone who isn't going to accept the date offer. You're someone who is going to be very honest and straightforward too. I feel like they see you as someone who isn't deceitful at the same time. Maybe this is someone who has been through some deceit in the past, so their family really looks after them, and they've really maybe even did a little bit of a test with you to see how you would be doing maybe in those circumstances. Maybe even just like I feel like it's more talking than anything else, just them having long conversations with you or them really wanting to get to know you, and that's really how they gauge that you are someone who's genuine and you are someone who really only has eyes for this person, or really only feels comfortable with this person, right? If that makes sense. So with the Four of Cups as well, I think that they think of you as someone who has had a lot of opportunities as well. For some of you, you might have a lot of job opportunities. But regardless, you're someone who has turned down things that haven't suited you, things that don't serve you in your life. You're very okay with just letting go. And I feel like you're very gracious towards change. And that's another thing that they would probably tell other people about you is, wow, they're really amazing at change. They're someone who can adapt so easily. They don't complain about certain circumstances or situations. They just go forward. They just have fun. And that brings us to the Four of Wands. Remember how I was saying that you are someone who would be the perfect spouse and the perfect partner? That is why we have the Four of Wands. This is very much talking about you are someone who anyone would be very, very lucky to create that foundation with, because when we think of the Four Wands, we think of the four posts that go in when we start building a house. So it's someone that we can build a new beginning with, that we can build a future with at the same time. And maybe you're someone who can see the bigger picture as well, because we have the four posts here, but we also have the house in the background. So maybe you're someone who can say, well, it's kind of meager beginnings right now, but this is where I want to be in the future. This is what I want to get to, right? And you're someone who will maybe even use the law of attraction. Maybe they see you as someone who is incredibly magical. Maybe they see you as someone who might even kind of dabble in witchcraft or maybe even divination. But regardless, with the Four of Wands, again, you're someone who they would say, hey, make sure you put a ring on it. Make sure that you snatch them up, because they're not going to be around here forever, right? And especially with, it almost looks like butterfly wings on this woman, and it very much makes me think of the metamorphosis that you've been in. And we have the butterflies and the moths. So it's very much talking about you've been through that cocoon period. You've been through this period of rest. Maybe that was even your Four of Cups, and sometimes that can even be a little bit painful, but we work through it. We keep going forward. We persevere. And they see you as someone who always perseveres, even through tough moments, even through moments where you feel like just kind of curling up and being like, I don't want to do this anymore. You're someone who still looks for the bright side. You're someone who still pushes forward. And they find that so admirable. So going on to these next three cards, these are going to be what sort of energies they think of when they think about you. So we have, oh my gosh, the Eight of Wands again, the Queen of Wands in reverse, and the Five of Swords in reverse. All right. And I actually forgot about this. We actually have the Seven of Swords in the upright as well. Now, there's a few different things that I have going on here that, I'm really thinking about. Now, with the Seven of Swords, when we think of this card, sometimes it could be talking about deceit. It can be talking about people who aren't necessarily truthful, but it can also be talking about people who are just lightening their load, right? He's carrying all of these swords. Jerry is weighed down. Jerry has had too much, right? And he's tired. He's exhausted. It's been a long journey. He just wants to get home to his wife. He needs to see his 5 children. He needs to tell them about his adventures, but he can't carry 7 swords. Are you crazy? 7 swords, that's very, very heavy. So instead he takes 2 out and he says, well, I could still make bank on 5 swords, right? 5 swords would get me home. I could be able to pay that kind of off and still have enough money to be able to take my wife out for a nice dinner in ye olden times, get a nice big turkey leg. But regardless, with the Seven of Swords, they see you as someone, again, who doesn't mind kind of cutting off these opportunities or, maybe people that come into your life to be able to start over brand new or to be able to lighten your load, right? Because we can be faced with people who might be a little bit deceitful or might be a little less than truthful, or not as forthcoming as we are, right? And maybe this is really just talking about you're someone who is okay with leaving that behind. You're okay with leaving behind circumstances that just don't serve you. Now, with the Seven of Swords as well, I feel like this could also directly be that they see you as someone who is very successful, right? Because this is literally a card of someone walking away from this fair. Maybe he's a merchant. Maybe he's someone who literally just sold a bunch of goods and he had enough money to buy all of these swords so he can go back to his village and he can make bank, right? So, honestly, with that sort of a feeling going on, I feel like they also see you as someone who's very crafty, someone who's very witty and resourceful, and maybe maybe even someone who does a lot of DIYs. Don't ask me how I got that from this, but literally that's what it reminded me of. Maybe you even are someone who goes to the county fairs. Maybe you do local events and you sell your crafts. But regardless, they see you as someone who is very talented, someone who can definitely take care of themselves and make Dutch money, right? Now with the Seven of Swords too, the number 7 would be talking about someone who tends to go down the less traveled path. Now I feel like you're someone who will do things in a way that makes sense to you, and you'll do it very passionately, in a very straightforward energy, very fast paced. It's almost like, let's get this done now, so that way I don't have to be doing this a year from now. So then that way I don't have to be worrying about this 2 years from now, right? You're someone who just wants to get ahead of the game. And maybe that's even what this card, in its entirety is in this spread, is that you're someone who's getting ahead. You're someone who is literally smiling to themselves and saying, hey, I've made it. Hey, look, Ma, I've made it. But with the 5 of Swords in reverse, that's literally saying you've done it without having to defeat other people, without having to hurt other people, without having to lie to people or deceive them as well. Because the 5 of Swords in the upright is talking about hurt. It's talking about defeat. It's talking about maybe even backstabbing someone, right? So with that, with the 7 of Swords here and that being in the reverse, it's really saying you're making it a step forward and making a step ahead of other people. But you're not doing it on kind of the backs of other people, if that makes sense. You're not someone who is getting their success by the expense of other people. Now, that actually brings us to the Queen of Wands in reverse. So even though they see you as someone who is very passionate and they see you as someone who is very straightforward and very much achieving their goals, they don't see you in that energy, right, as the Queen of Wands. They see you as someone who, is very compassionate. I feel like very open at the same time. With the Queen of Wands, I feel like she's someone who is very fiery. She's very intuitive, but she can be very fierce, I guess would be the best way of putting it. And maybe that's something that they don't see you as, is that you are someone who's very gentle, even though you are achieving your goals in a very fast forward way and in a way that, is very quick. You're not someone who is going to step on other people's toes to achieve it. You're not someone who is going to kind of push forward your own motives. And maybe that's something that the Queen of Wands in the upright might do, right? And that doesn't make her a bad person. It makes her a very driven person. But in the reverse, I feel like you're someone who just will kind of look after yourself, and you're someone who does things, all on the up and up, right? And that's something that their family really loves about you. So going on to these next 5 cards, these are going to be your Glow Glow Tarot cards, and these are talking about what they feel your intentions are towards this person. So we have the 10 of Swords, followed by the 5 of Swords, the 9 of Swords, the High Priestess in reverse, and the 10 of Cups, leading us out. So here's the interesting thing. I know these look like totally scary cards, right? But I love that it transmutates into the 10 of Cups. And that's what I want to really stress here, is that it doesn't start out with the 10 of Cups turning into the 10 of Swords. No. It starts out with the 10 of Swords leading into the 10 of Cups. Now, this is beautiful, right? Because it's talking about transmutating hardships into something that's absolutely beautiful, into unconditional love, into understanding, into happy family events and moments and get-togethers and memories that you're going to cherish for a long time. This is also talking about maybe not having a lot, but having enough. It's not about the money. We don't need your money, right? So with the 10 of Swords and the 5 of Swords, maybe this is your energy coming into this relationship or into this friendship. You're kind of coming into it, maybe having experienced it with a lot of other people. Maybe they see you originally as someone who is a little bit nervous about this partnership. Maybe they see you as someone who doesn't necessarily sleep good at night. It's almost like that Jesse McCartney song, how do you sleep, right? But with the 5 of Swords, maybe originally they even suspect that you would be someone who is just kind of going to take this person on a ride. And I don't mean that in a rude way, right? Because it definitely does come around. But with the 7 of Swords, hey, maybe they see you as someone originally who it's just kind of focusing on themselves. And this doesn't even have to be an energy of like, heh heh, I'm taking all your swords, Jim, and like stealing them all. This is just an energy of being like, I'm going to look out for myself, and if I need 3 swords to sell at the state fair, then you best believe I'm coming home with 3 swords to sell at the state fair, right? So that's very much the energy that we have here. So maybe they were a little bit worried, like, oh, maybe this is someone who is just going to cause them a lot of anxiety. Maybe this is someone who's going to hurt them. And maybe that's even what happened in the beginning part of your relationship, is that your person was feeling a little bit nervous. They were feeling a little bit anxious and worried and concerned, about this, and maybe that was something that they told their friends and family about, and their family especially was like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Like they were really concerned about it. But with the High Priestess in reverse, with the 10 of Cups, this is kind of like saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I assumed things. I was wrong. Right? And I don't like using the word wrong too often, but with the High Priestess in reverse, I really do feel like it's kind of like a, you were right and I was wrong, because maybe this person stuck up for you to their family and was like, no, they would never do that. Like there's someone who is in it for the long haul. They're not a hit it and quit it kind of a person, right? Now with the High Priestess in reverse, this is saying, not necessarily my intuition was wrong, but it was saying that my intuition was more guided by fear. I was someone who was being directed by fear and by worry, as opposed to love. And I now see that you're someone who brings in the 10 of Cups. You're someone who brings in that happily ever after, as opposed to this really bad kind of sad ending of a chapter and ending of a story. Now, with the 10 of Cups, this is talking about just sentimentality, being happy with the person that you love, and that's the energy that they see you in. That's the kind of intentions that they feel that you have now going forward and going into this. They see you as someone who is very genuine, someone who's very open, and someone who's very honest, right? So feel very good about it. It did wrap up very good for intentions, They have very, very good feelings about you. I feel like, at the beginning, maybe they were a little bit nervous. They were a little bit worried, like, this could happen. But, they're really kind of eating their words now, and they're like, you're a really good person. You're a really good match for them as well. So going on to these last few cards, these are going to be your Enchanted Tarot cards, and these are talking about closing messages that they have for you in general. So what does their family think of you? We also have the 5 of Hearts. So I love that we have so many 5s. This is talking about change. It's talking about transformation as well. We also have the 7 of Wands, a lot of 7s too. We have the Princess of Wands and the Hierophant. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So this is also another 5. So it's talking about change again. But the Hierophant is also can be talking about someone who is a leader, someone who might even be a spiritual leader. Maybe some of you literally work with tarot cards or work with runes or something along those lines. But this could also just be talking about they want you guys to get married. Maybe they've even talked to them about it, like, hey, when are you gonna marry Lisa? When are you gonna propose to her? Right? And it's almost like they're constantly stressing them about it, or maybe not even stressing them, but kind of teasing them, because they see you as the perfect couple, especially with the Hierophant. Maybe they want you to be traditionally married. They want you to have that traditional commitment and that traditional kind of settling down. But with the Princess of Wands, it's almost like they see you as someone who is still growing, who is still learning. Oh, maybe that's why the Queen of Wands was in the reverse, was because you're still the Princess of Wands. You're still growing. You're still, regardless of age, this is still talking about people who are making plans, people who want to travel, people who want to just go out and experience the world before they get settled down, before they kind of take things to that next level or to that next step. Maybe you have a lot of goals that you want to pursue before you move in with someone, right? You still have a lot of growing with all this butterfly imagery. And that's something that they really love about you, is that you're not just jumping right into this, even though they'd be completely fine with you doing that. And it was something that was very accelerated with it, kind of showing up in the beginning with that parrot card. I feel like at the same time, they're completely okay with you doing your own thing and with you experiencing the world and experiencing things that you might really love, right? Now, with the 7 of Wands, I feel like this is just them kind of being like, hey, we were a little bit defensive towards you, and we're sorry about that. You aren't someone who, is going to shake things up for the bad. You're someone who is going to bring a lot of good into our lives, and not just for this person. I feel like the family also feels like you brighten the family up. I feel like they think of you as an amazing addition, right? And I just love that energy. So with the Five of Hearts, I feel like they see you as someone who is always, again, looking on the bright side of life. For me, when I see the Five of Hearts, I think of someone who is kind of recognizing that they still have 2 cups left, which is really interesting, especially since we had that 2 of Cups showing up. So, you're someone who is definitely focusing on your blessings, focusing on your abundances, and focusing on the things that are going right in your life, right? So that is just absolutely beautiful. So again, I feel like they would say to you, we're sorry for kind of passing judgment without necessarily knowing you, right off the bat, but they were just really concerned about their family member. They just really love their family member. And it's almost like they're giving their blessing now, right? And they're like, yeah, you can marry Joffrey, that's fine. Go for it. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this stack one. Oh my goodness. I feel like they have nothing but good things to say to you, and about you. Maybe this is even a family that would want to take you to reunions. They would want to invite you on their holidays and invite you on travels. But yeah, I think that's such a beautiful energy to have. Thank you so much for watching this, and please let me know what you think about your pile down in the comments down below. I love reading you guys' comments so much. They make me so happy. But regardless, also leave a like down below if you enjoyed it, and also hit subscribe if you have not already. Also hit the little bell icon next to that if you want to be notified anytime that I post and upload. Also, big announcement. I have a brand new website, and I am so excited to tell you guys about it. All of my spreads are 10% cheaper than they are on my Etsy, because I'm doing a grand opening. But I am so excited. I just listed a bunch of brand new spreads, and I'm going to be listing tarot classes soon and a bunch of other things. So if you feel interested in that, or also want to just kind of join my newsletter, or be signed up for whenever I post new spreads, definitely go do that. My website name is DarlingDTarot.com. I really hope that you will come and check it out. But yeah, thank you so much again, and I hope that you enjoyed your pile, and I will see you soon. Bye! Hello to everyone who picked stack 2. Let's get right into your reading and see what does their family think of you. So starting off with your first 2 cards, these are going to be your animal language cards, and these are talking about characteristics, qualities, and traits that their family thinks of when they think of you. So starting us off, we have number 21, Falcon, and number 1, Water. Woohoo! So starting us off with number 21, this would be the number 3. So this would be talking about harmony and how you are someone who is very harmonious. You're someone who's very peaceful. You're someone who just kind of wants everyone to get along. Why can't we be friends, right? So with the number 3, this is also talking about the mind, the body, and the spirit all coming together in one. So you're an amazing decision maker, especially when it comes to going to that next step in life and kind of leveling up, if you will. You're someone who has a very good head on your shoulder. You're very balanced as well. I feel like you're someone who also craves a very stable foundation at home, a very good home life, but at the same time, I feel like you're very career oriented. With number 3, you're very good with time management. So I feel like you're someone who is very fair, you're very just. Maybe you're someone who is very much based on reciprocity and being very equal give and take with those that you love. I feel like maybe you're someone who doesn't mind splitting a bill. You're someone who doesn't mind maybe even picking up the tab on certain occasions. You're someone who doesn't believe in gender norms and gender roles. And I think that's something that their family really loves about you, right? Is that you're someone who will break these norms just to impress the people that you love, or just to take care of them, just to do something nice. I feel like you love going out of your way to do nice things, but you also take care of yourself. I feel like those that pick this pile could also pick stack 1, but at the same time, I feel like there's a little bit of a difference where stack 1 might tend to overextend themselves for the people that they love. Stack 2 tends to kind of save their energy for themselves a little bit more. Maybe you guys are a little bit more selective about what it is that you do. You're not just gonna immediately put yourself out there and be like, yes, I bought you a wedding ring, Jen, and we're gonna go up to Mount Everest and we're gonna get married tomorrow. You're someone who is more like, hey, yeah, I bought us some lunch at Chipotle. Like you're doing nice things, but it's definitely not to the point where you're going to bankrupt yourself. You're not going to put yourself in a bad situation for another person. You're not that much of a people pleaser. And that's what I think of, especially with threes in comparison to six. Six are all about giving, while threes are like, hey, I'm going to take a little bit of that for myself, right? But it's all about being in harmony, equal give and take, being just, being fair. And I think that that's the overall energy that they really love about you, is that you are someone who is very 50-50. Now, with the Falcon card, it says focus, action, purpose, and aspiration. So I feel like you're someone who is a big dreamer. I feel like you're someone who is always going towards your next goal. You're always going towards that next vision in life as well. So if you're someone who has always wanted to travel to Timbuktu, you do that tomorrow. You're someone who, you're a good planner. I feel like for some of you, you might even be really good at even just planning little events or planning little details. Maybe some of you might have a little bit of control issues. I don't know why I just heard that, but I don't feel like it's anything too bad. I don't think that they talk about you behind your back where they're like, did you see how Jennifer was acting? I feel like they're very chill about it. They might even find it a little bit funny. Like maybe you're someone who always has to have hand sanitizer in your purse, or you're someone who always has to maybe know like a week ahead of time if you're going out to dinner or not, but regardless, with Falcon and with it being focus and action, that's why, is because you are so focused on your own goals that you will quite easily fill the rest of your week up with things that you're doing. And it doesn't even have to be like to the point where you're so booked up that you're constantly going out. It could even be where you have days at home where you're doing crafts or you're having self-care time, because again, with the number 3, you know how important it is to take care of yourself and to have that self-care time and that self-care routine, right? That's very, very important going forward. With purpose and aspiration, you definitely know why you were here on this earth, why you were brought back, why you were born again. You are someone who knows what your purpose is, what your divine destiny is, right? Shout out to my sister who actually has that name. It's her tarot account. Hey, hey girl, I see you. But regardless, you're someone who knows what you're doing in life. You know what you want out of life as well. And you're very goal oriented, especially with this Falcon energy. It's like eye on the prize, and maybe sometimes with that control energy, you're someone who can be a little bit stubborn. Maybe you're someone who can tend to focus in on something so much that everything else is just sort of like, no, it's okay. I don't really want to do that, right? But they really love that about you as well, because again, you are someone who knows what you want, and it's very honest. It's very truthful as well. And they love the fact that you're someone who is always persevering. They love that you're someone who is always just putting yourself out there, maybe even in circumstances that others might find very scary or a little bit worrisome. You're someone who just kind of goes with the flow. You have fun. Now, with the number 1, you're someone who is a leader. You're someone who can take charge in situations, and you're someone who can take care of themselves. I feel like you're someone who loves brand new beginnings at the same time. You're someone who loves starting over brand new. You don't like to feel stagnant. You do not like to feel stuck whatsoever. And that's another thing that they find very admirable about you, is that you are someone who is constantly on the go. You're constantly kind of changing and transforming with your environment. Maybe you're someone who is constantly growing in social settings as well. Maybe you're someone who has a very popular social media account. Maybe you're someone who just kind of is gaining a lot more friends and a lot more traction, and maybe even a lot more business, right? So maybe you're making a lot more money. Regardless, with water, it says feeling, awakening, expression, and life. Now, I just want to touch on, maybe you have water in your chart, so that could be Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, but it does not have to be. You don't have to have any of that in your charts. But regardless, regardless, you are someone who, you very much express yourself in every sense of the word. You're very fiery, you're very passionate, but at the same time, with that Falcon energy, because I see them as very fiery, they kind of go in there and they get what they want, but at the same time, you can cool yourself down. You're very balanced, you're very much in equilibrium with yourself. With expression, I feel like you're someone who is very unique, you're very authentic. Maybe you're someone who has a lot of tattoos, or maybe you even want to get a lot of tattoos, but you're someone who dresses very uniquely as well. I feel like they could definitely spot you in a crowd. Maybe you're someone who does your hair up really nice. Maybe you're someone who in the past has dyed it up. Just little things like that. I think that they really notice and they really kind of pick out. Now, what I'm really being drawn to as well is that the water almost looks like ice in the background. And that makes me think that they think of you as someone who is very meditative. They think of you as someone who can just kind of sit alone by themselves and just think and just kind of contemplate what their next move is. I feel like some of you that pick this pile are very good at chess. So you're very strategic. You're very good at making decisions. You're very good at making that next move. Maybe you're someone who is very good at making like offers, especially when it comes to love offers. Maybe you're someone who doesn't mind making the first move. But I also want to say with that winner symbology, I feel like you're someone who is well studied. I feel like you're someone who doesn't mind kind of taking a break and taking a step back from your social life in order to pursue your passions and in order to pursue your career. You're someone who doesn't mind sort of putting everything else on the back burner so that you can become more successful and more abundant throughout your life. And also with awakening, I feel like you're someone who has maybe even been through a lot of dark nights of the soul, but that's so that you can become wiser and so that you can experience these beautiful moments, right? And with feeling, I also wanted to say that they see you as someone who feels very, very deeply. You might be someone who is very sensitive. Maybe you wear your heart on your sleeve. Maybe you're someone who is always just kind of being honest about how you're feeling. Maybe you get teary-eyed over movies. Maybe you cry over them. But regardless, with this energy, I feel like that's something that they absolutely adore about you, right? They love the fact that even though you look very tough, maybe some of you have a very stoic face, maybe even a resting bitch face. For the most part, they see you as someone who is still very compassionate, very sensitive, very understanding and generous. Oh my goodness, you're someone who they could turn to at the end of the day, even though you aren't related, they can still come to you with their problems, and be saying, hey, well, could I have advice on this or could I have advice on that? They think of you as someone who is very knowledgeable and just very smart, very wise, if you will, right? And I feel like they also see you as someone who is very loyal, someone who's very honest, very honorable. I think that they also see you as someone who is a good communicator. When I think of this conch shell, I think of people kind of holding it up to their ear and just kind of listening. Maybe you're someone who also listens to a lot of music. Maybe music is very important to you. Maybe that's something that's very healing. Maybe some of you play music. Maybe some of you are very good singers, and that's something that you love to do. Maybe you guys go driving. But regardless, I feel like you're very trustworthy to them, and they also hold you in a very high regard. Right off the bat, that's something that I'm hearing. Even though maybe right off the bat, if some of you do have tattoos, maybe some of you also have piercings, and they saw you and maybe they were like, ooh, maybe this is someone who's going to be a little bit unconventional for this person. Once they got to know you, they were like, whoa, this is someone who just is so unique and so authentic. And I feel like for a select few of you that picked this pile, you really opened a lot of hearts and a lot of minds in this family. It's not to say that this family was a little bit closed-minded, but I definitely want to say that you opened their minds to something that they might not have been as open to previously, right? Now, going on to this next card, this is going to be an animal messages card talking about some more characteristics, qualities, and traits that they think of when they think of you. And we have Blue Heron. Woohoo! Make a stand for what you believe in and do what feels right in spite of any judgment or disapproval from others. And that was very very much what we were kind of talking about with Falcon, is that you're someone who just kind of goes with the flow and you do what is perfect for you, regardless of what other people are going to say. You know, you don't mind that Tina is going to come up to you and be like, yeah, well, I wouldn't have done that. It's like, yeah, Tina, thanks. Thank you. I didn't ask you what you were going to do, you know, in my shoes. So don't worry about what other people are thinking, because that's what this family loves about you, is that you're someone who can just go out, you can do things and not necessarily not think twice about it, but you're someone who isn't going to regret it later, right? It's almost like YOLO, let's have fun, let's not have any regrets. But that's something that they really, really love about you with the blue heron card. Now, they also see you not only with the kind of greens and the blues here with the blue heron, they see you as someone who is very open, very watery, very emotional, very stable, very much someone who has grown. You've gone through a big growth period. Now, with the outer layer, it is very passionate, it's very fiery, it's very intense as well, and it's very much saying that you can stick up for yourself if you feel threatened, if you feel like you need to. And notice how we have both of these colors on each side of this card, and it's really interesting because it's very much saying there's two sides of you. There's that very fiery side, there's that side where you'll be like, hey, don't mess with me, buddy, but there's also that side where maybe you cry over Guardians of the Galaxy, right? And you're just very sentimental, and that's something that their family really, really loves about you. Some of you might also be very outspoken on your political views, or maybe just your views in general and your views in life, and that's something that they really love about you. You're someone who thinks outside the box. You have a very unique perspective on life as well, and you always are kind of throwing in your ideas. It's almost like you're someone who is an entrepreneur. You're someone who is always coming up with these really amazing ideas and these amazing thoughts, amazing perspectives, and when you share them, people just kind of look at you and they're like, wow, I didn't think of it like that. That's really interesting, right? But that's something that they really love about you. So going on to this next card, it's your Secrets of the Mystic Grove card, and it's talking about another energy that they think about when they think about you. So we have number 1, awakening, attraction, beginning, newness, and communing. So again, you know, it's talking about attraction, it's talking about beginnings with the number 1 here. 2 cards that are basically talking about awakening. So they very much see you as someone who is very spiritual, someone who has awakened, someone who is very in tune with themselves, with the universe, with others, maybe even with nature and with plants. Because do you see how this woman has all of these elements inside of her hair? She has plants, she has birds, you know, she might even have a few spiders in there that we can't see. But regardless, she is the queen of nature, and that's very much the energy that I get from this person's family, is that they see you as someone who is very harmonious. You know, it's almost like you're a Disney princess or Disney prince. You're someone who can just go out and make friends with the wildlife, and you can talk to nature, and you're someone who understands how important it is to talk to your plants. You're someone who maybe even has a big forest inside of your house just of little plants that you've collected throughout the years, but you're someone who is very awakened, and that's something that they very much love about you, because like I said before, maybe this was a family that wasn't necessarily spiritual. Maybe this was a family that wasn't open to that side of things, or wasn't open to kind of metaphysical things, but you really showed them a different perspective. You showed them, hey, tarot cards aren't scary. Tarot cards aren't scaro cards. Oh my gosh, can we make that a shirt? But regardless, you're someone who very much has introduced that newness to them, and you're someone who, again, you introduce new perspectives to them all the time, and they're very grateful for you for doing that to them. With the attraction card, I feel like you're someone who is very attractive, but I feel like you're also someone who works with the law of attraction. I feel like you're someone who is a master manifester, and someone who can definitely bring things into their lifetime just by using their intention, just by kind of putting it out there. Maybe they see you as the magician type, as someone who actively works with the law of attraction and works with the universe in order to achieve the goals that you want to. Now, going on to this next card, this is going to be your Angel Inspiration card. And I just want to touch on this before we continue more onto this Awakening card. And it's number 14, Show Justice. Now, with number 14, this would be the number 5. This is talking about change. And I feel like you're someone who has gone through quite a bit of change throughout your lifetime. Honestly, I feel like if you pick this pile, you can just go ahead and pick stack 1 as well, because I feel like it's very much the same energy. I feel like you're someone who has learned to be compassionate, maybe throughout circumstances that you've had to go through. You're someone who has gained a lot of wisdom, but you're someone who really has had to persevere. Do you see how this angel is blindfolded and is just kind of having to hold these scales very equally and very evenly? It almost makes me feel like you've had to struggle a little bit in order to gain balance, in order to gain that equilibrium, in order to gain strength and wisdom and understanding, right? And with Show Justice, I feel like that was really another thing that they really loved about you, is that you are someone who is very just, you're someone who's very truthful, you're someone who's very honest. And I know that I sound very much like a broken record, but that's the main thing that they really, really just adore about you, right? Is that you're very balanced. And I feel like you're someone who understands that not everything is black and white, that there's a gray area as well. And not every situation is as easy as people make it out to be. You know, you're not that type of person who, again, would look at people and be like, oh, well, I would have done this. You know, you're someone who genuinely understands why people do the things that they do. Maybe you're someone who watches like serial killer documentaries or true crime documentaries. There we go. And, you know, you're kind of like, well, this person had a really bad past. You know, it doesn't excuse what they did by any means, but it definitely makes it a little bit more understandable as to what was going on in this person's mind. And I feel like you're someone who gives other people the benefit of the doubt. You're someone who is always looking, you know, to the good in a situation. You're someone who is very realistically optimistic, if that makes sense. You know, you're not pessimistic, but you're not optimistic in a way that you just have rose-colored glasses on, which is why we have this blindfold on. You know, you're no longer looking at, you know, all of the beautiful things in life. You're looking at things in a very realistic sense, you know, and that's what makes life beautiful to you, are the things that are real, are the things that maybe even take a little bit of figuring out, maybe take a little bit of working over and thinking over and looking at. You know, maybe you're someone who really loves puzzles, and that's another thing that they really love about you, is they think that you're someone who can take your time, you know, on little things, maybe even on little projects. You're someone who can go the distance, you can persevere, you know, you're someone who doesn't mind doing a 5,000 piece puzzle just for funsies. But they really love that about you, that you are someone who's loyal and that you do stick things out all the way through, right? They see you as someone who is very strong at the same time, because these look really heavy, honestly, even though they're very equally balanced, you know, and they both have this ball of light inside. I feel like he's kind of struggling, you know, to hold both of them up. And that's also a testament to them saying, like, they understand how hard it is for you to have this successful career and to also kind of juggle family life and home life with your significant other and, you know, your friends and this and that. And they understand how hard that is, but you make it look so easy, is kind of what they tell other people and what they tell extended family. You know, they kind of talk about you in a very high regard, where they're saying, you know, this person, if they want to learn a new skill, they just go out and do it. You know, they don't worry about it. They don't worry, well, what if I'm not good at it? You just go out and do it. You know, you go out and accomplish it. And that's something that, you know, they really want you to know is very, very cool. You know, they find that very interesting, that you can just push yourself and learn how to knit like tomorrow. You know, you're kind of like, you see a wool sweater online and you're like, ooh, I want to learn how to make that. So you sit yourself down and you do it. And they find that very admirable, that you always have enough time in the day as well. You know, again, I feel like you're someone who's very good at time management. So going on to these next two cards, these are your animal totem cards. And these are talking about overall energies. If they were to sum you up, kind of describing you to other people, how would this person's family describe you? So we have, the Strength card. Oh my goodness, I love it. Followed by the 7 of Pentacles. Oh wow. So we have Ox energy, energy and elk energy. Now that's really interesting because both of them have antlers. So remember how I was saying earlier that you're someone who can definitely defend themselves? I think that's the energy that we have here with all of these antlers, is that you're someone who can defend themselves. You're someone who can take care of business, let me tell you that. But you don't necessarily have to. You're someone who has a lot of dignity. You're someone who holds their head up tall, and I feel like you kind of have a lot of respect from other people in that sense, because you're someone who does hold your head up tall. You're someone who, is very strong. Maybe you're someone who kind of comes off with this energy of don't mess with me. I already have enough going on, Luis. Don't come at me with that. You're someone who is just very upfront with it. Now, with the Strength card, with the Seven of Pentacles, this is saying that even though your goals are, it almost feels like they're out of reach to you, when other people look at you, and more specifically when this family looks at you, they see you as being right there to achieving your goals. And it's almost like they look at you in awe, and they're almost like, how did you manage to get to this point? Like maybe you're someone who at your age, they had a whole family, or they were already having to do this, or they already had all these kind of responsibilities on their plate. So they look at you in awe, and they're like, oh wow, you're someone who's very accomplished. You're someone who looks after themselves. You're someone who has a lot of goals, right? I just feel like they see you as someone who has a lot going on, and even though you have a lot of responsibilities, you're someone who is still growing, and they really love the fact that you always persevere. You always kind of stick things out, even though it might be an unsavory situation from time to time. You're someone who goes the distance. You're someone who can take on a lot of burdens and a lot of responsibilities if the situation calls for it. I feel like you're someone who is very, very strong. Even though we were talking about that you're someone who's very emotional, that's something that I really want to talk about, is that you're someone who is also very vulnerable. And vulnerability is the biggest superpower that we can have. It is our biggest strength. It is what makes us strong, right? In order to be truly strong, we also have to know what it's like to be truly vulnerable and to let our guards down, because then we can understand how to be strong. So with the Strength card as well, I feel like they see you as someone who is very beautifully balanced between vulnerability and strength. Someone who can switch that up, someone who can be a rock in a circumstance and in a situation, but someone who can also, feel their own emotions, but they can take care of themselves. You're not someone who relies on other people to take care of your emotions for them, if that makes sense. With the Seven of Pentacles, again, I feel like you're someone who believes in you reap what you sow. And that's another thing that this family really loves about you, is that you're always, really putting yourself out there 110%. You're never skimping on your work. You're never just kind of doing a half-hearted job. You're someone who is always, always, always going above and beyond. And I just think that is so beautiful, right? With the Seven of Pentacles, this is talking all about you're someone who likes to go down the less traveled path. Maybe you're someone who has made your own career, you're self-employed, or maybe that's something that you really long to do. Maybe you're someone who wants to be an entrepreneur. You're someone who maybe even has a good idea, or you have a service that you really want to do. Maybe some of you are even divinators. Maybe you work with tarot cards, with runes, maybe you work with even tea leaves, but regardless, I feel like there's something that you do that really connects you to spirit and connects you to the metaphysical realm. And I feel like that's something that they really love about you, is that you're someone who, even though people might look at you and kind of pass judgment from time to time, you just keep trucking on, you just keep going. And maybe you want to travel, maybe you want to go from fair to fair and sell your wares with this Strength card, because I'm very much being drawn to this card that has all of these belongings in it. Maybe you're someone who has moved a lot as well, since we were talking about 5 energy with number 14, show justice. Maybe you're someone who has had a lot of uprootings. You're someone who has had to kind of experience adventure and experience travel, and it's something that you've actually learned to love. You're someone who can definitely turn things that feel like nightmares into blessings. You can turn situations into abundances, right? And I feel like that's something that they find very admirable about you at the same time. So going on to these next 3 cards, these are going to be what they think about you overall and what they think about your energy. So we have the Moon card, followed by the Queen of Wands and the King of Swords. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so again, this is very much that sort of energy of very fiery, very passionate. I'm going to go out and I'm going to adventure. I'm going to explore. I'm going to travel. I'm going to do me. But at the same time, it's like, don't mess with me. Do you want these fisticuffs? I'll come at you, bro. Like, you're not afraid. You might even come off a little bit stoic from time to time because you're just so focused on yourself. You're focused on your endeavors. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's wonderful to have healthy selfishness, right? Where we focus on ourselves, we focus on our goals and our ambitions. Now, with the moon card starting us off, I want to tell you about how this card reminds me all about someone who knows themselves on the inside and out. You are someone who is very intuitive. You're someone who is very aware of every aspect of yourself. It's almost like you left no stones unturned. And that was something that was very important to you growing up, was maybe discovering who you were, discovering what you liked, what you didn't like. And maybe a lot of people, while they were out, maybe achieving their career and, maybe having children or having families, or getting married, I think that you took the time instead to focus on your career, to focus on yourself, and to get to know yourself. What is it that you want to do in the long term? What is it that you really love to do? For some of you that picked this pile, maybe you suffer with chronic illness, and that really became a way for you to really know yourself and find other outlets for money, if that makes sense, and you really turned it into a blessing. You turned it into something absolutely beautiful, right? And I'm really proud of you. Now, with the moon card, this is definitely talking about someone who is a dreamer at the same time. Even though times are a little bit dark, or even though you can't necessarily see in front of you, your intuition is always going to guide you. There's always stars in the sky that will make it at least slightly bright enough to where you can see down the path, and it might not be enough to where you know every detail, but your intuition is going to guide you the rest of the way. And that's something that they really love about you, is that even when situations can be a little bit scary or a little bit nerve-wracking, that you're someone who just trusts, and you trust yourself, and you trust that you're making the right decision because you are in harmony with yourself, right? You are someone who is an amazing decision maker, and they see that and they acknowledge that and they love that about you, especially with the moon card. They're saying that you are someone who is very inspirational with this moon card. You are someone who, by knowing yourself, also helps other people to feel inspired into knowing themselves. With the Queen of Wands and the King of Swords, though, it's almost like you've discovered that you are both this divine masculine and this divine feminine. You are light and dark. You are yin and yang. You are this and that, right? And I love that energy. You are both the bird and the cat. You are both the cat and the dog, right? You are that fiery, passionate, dedicated energy and that headstrong energy, but you're also that sort of aloof energy. You can take time for yourself. You can be quiet and reserved. You can kind of rely on your logical side as opposed to your intuitive side at the same time. You can be someone who is very nurturing, but you can also be someone who, is kind of like, well, don't be coming at me with that, don't cross me. You're someone who can be very straightforward. At times you can even be a little bit, I don't want to say domineering because it's not domineering, but I definitely feel like you can put your foot down, and maybe you can even intimidate people a little bit with this King of Swords energy. But they really are very much saying that you're someone who is an amazing business person. I feel like you're someone who works very hard. I feel like you're someone who is very mature as well. And since they are both court cards, I feel like you're someone who has gone through a lot of change throughout your life. But that is what has matured you. That has what is made you into these king and queen sort of energies, right? And I feel like, again, you're someone who doesn't believe in traditional gender roles. So I feel like when you're with your partner, you're someone who can be cuddled, and you're someone who can also cuddle your partner. So, you're someone who can kind of switch off from time to time into your masculine energy or into your feminine energy. And that's something that people really love about you at the same time, that you don't just rely on this caring, compassionate energy. You're also someone who is fierce, and you go out there and you get things done, and you kind of just say, well, this is my goal and I'm going to accomplish it, right? And no one can tell you differently. Maybe you're even a little stubborn from time to time, but that's something that people absolutely adore about you, and especially their family. Oh my goodness. So going on to these next 4 cards, these are going to be your Witch's Tarot cards, and these are talking about what they think about you, and being with this person. So we have the Page of Cups in reverse, the 2 of Swords in reverse, the 7 of Pentacles in reverse, and the 6 of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so right off the bat, I feel like you're someone who is very mature, again, with the Page of Cups in reverse. This is someone who isn't going to come forward with some baby stuff. You're not going to be like, oh, hey, do you want my cup of love? Psych, there's a fish in it, so you can't drink out of it. You're someone who, you know what you want, and you don't want anything that's going to be immature. You don't want anything that's going to, make you feel like you've regressed, in a sense. You want something that's going to move you forward. You want something that is going to grow with you at the same time. But with the 7 of Pentacles in reverse, this is making me think that you're someone who isn't going to make the first move, right? You're someone who might kind of sit on the sidelines and kind of take it easy. You might kind of just watch and just kind of be like, all right, let's see where this goes with Timothy. But for the most part, they see you as someone who is just kind of focused on their own endeavors. You're not someone who's going to tend someone else's garden. You're not someone who is going to tend a relationship that is one-sided, because again, you are someone who is very fair. You're someone who is based on reciprocity. So I feel like you want someone who is going to genuinely show the effort first and show you that they're interested and show you that they're serious before they go forward. And that is also what brings us into the 6 of Pentacles in reverse. Maybe they see you as someone who was a little bit, maybe you're not as giving as their family member, and that's not a bad thing. Maybe they just see you as someone who is waiting until this is a little bit more of a serious relationship before you give it. Maybe they even see you as someone who you're still growing in your career, so maybe you don't necessarily have the money that you would like. Maybe that's even why you're sitting on the side with the 7 of Pentacles, because you're waiting. It's almost like, I'm waiting for this money to come in. I want this money to come in, but at the same time, you're like, ooh, I can't spoil them. I can't take them out for dinner. I can't do this or that until I get a little bit more money. And maybe that's something that's very frustrating for some of you that pick this pile. But for the most part, I feel like they might think of you as someone who maybe is a little bit reserved at the same time. Maybe someone who isn't going to just kind of put themselves out there on a limb and say, Frederick, this is how I feel, And I mean, that's fine. Everyone has their different love languages. And I feel like that's something that they want to get across to you at the same time is you're not expected to buy extravagant gifts. You're not expected to put yourself out there and in a way that's uncomfortable or in a way that makes you broke. If you don't have the money to do something, then you don't have to do it. Don't make yourself feel guilty about it. Don't feel bad about it, because maybe there will be a day that comes where you will be able to do those things. But at the same time, I feel like some of you are just kind of like, no, I want to wait until this becomes a little bit more serious and then I'll invest in it, right? And I feel like that's something that their family very much picks up on. I don't think that they think of it as anything bad. Maybe they're even saying to themselves like, well, maybe you need to show a little bit more effort and then this person will kind of show more love, or they'll bring you gifts, or they'll do this or that. Maybe they've even made a little bit of a joke within their household, right? So going forward onto these next 4 cards, these are going to be your Glow Tarot cards, and these are talking about what overall they think that your intentions are going forward. So we have the Ace of Wands, followed by the Page of Swords, the Emperor in reverse, and the 6 of Cups in reverse. Okay, so starting off with the Ace of Wands, they see you as someone who is very passionate. Maybe you want a very passionate start, a fresh new start, but maybe one that's just going to come in very quick. It's going to come in maybe very sensually at the same time as well, and maybe you're just going to leave. Maybe they see you as someone who is this Page of Swords, who's very good at communication, but you're also very good at once you've gotten your needs fulfilled and once you feel very happy in where you are, very successful, then you just kind of leave. Maybe they see you as someone who doesn't mind cutting people out or doesn't mind cutting situations situations out that don't serve you. And maybe that's even in regards to the show Justice, people that aren't being, 50-50 with you, people that aren't being honest with you. You're just kind of like, bye. Now, with the Emperor in reverse and the Six of Cups in reverse, though, I feel like maybe they think that your intentions aren't to be very serious in regards to relationship. But I mean, it's also very interesting. It's a weird dynamic because it's almost like you don't want to be stubborn. You don't want to be stuck in your ways in this relationship. But at the same time, you don't want to just be spontaneous and just kind of have childlike fun, right? And it might be completely different, right? Because this is all just what their family has gathered about you. But maybe they see you as someone who is very conflicted, between being very childlike and innocent and maybe seeing the world with rose-colored glasses and also being very realistic and also being like, well, we have to plan and we have to make a specific date when we hang out and we have to do this and that. Maybe this is even just a direct call out to potential control issues to those that are watching this video. And I do not mean that as a call out because honestly, I do struggle with that from time to time. I feel like everyone does, right? We're human. I feel like everyone at some point or another in their lifetime is going to say, well, could we schedule it instead? I'm starting to get really busy. I'm starting to do this or that. There's always going to be a circumstance where, maybe we want to have a little bit more details. Maybe we want to be able to, have a little bit more insight or information or, feel a little bit more secure in that situation, right? But this is also saying to just go with the flow more, have more fun, get into that really childlike energy. Now, the interesting thing is that the Six of Cups in reverse would actually be a 9. So I don't know why I was being drawn to that, but they also see you as someone who is very intuitive. So it's very much saying that, maybe they also see you as someone who can very much be a good detector of when someone's telling the truth or not. And maybe you're someone who is a very, very good judge of character. You're someone who can sense when someone's lying. You're someone who can sense when someone isn't being 100% truthful. And that's something that they also really love about you. And maybe that's something that they really want to point out with the Page of Swords is that you don't put up with that in your life, because you know what your goals are, you know what your aspirations are, and you know where you're going overall. And maybe they're a little bit worried, like, are they going to cut this person out of their life? Are they going to cut out my family member? But at the same time, I feel like overall they're just saying, have a little bit more fun, right? And maybe even show that you care is kind of what I'm hearing. I'm not hearing that you don't necessarily care, but with the Ace of Wands, maybe they just see it more as a passionate relationship or just something that you can go out and have fun doing. Maybe they see it more as a temporary thing as opposed to a long term. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I really feel like if you are kind of intending to have a long-term relationship with this person, maybe just kind of set your intentions forward and just kind of, be a little bit more affectionate, and I'm not saying towards the family, I'm saying more towards your person, because I feel like this person talks about you a lot, right? And maybe this person talks about you when they're feeling a little bit down, maybe when they're feeling a little bit unsure about themselves as well. And maybe they say to their family members, they're just sort of like, I don't know if Jessica likes me. She never really, tells me. She's never really forthcoming about the way that she feels with me. So I'm not even necessarily sure how she feels, right? So maybe that's the sort of vibe that they're putting towards their family is they're very unsure. They're very, maybe even a little bit nervous about this relationship and about, not having as much spontaneous fun, right? So I feel like they think that your intentions are just to come in, maybe have a little bit of a good time, and then just be like, I'm outie, bye, and maybe you do like a cool Tony Hawk backflip off of a skateboard and you're out, like you never see them again. And you met the whole family, and the whole family really liked you, but you're just kind of like, peace, I'm out, I'll never see you again. You can tell your friends it was nice to meet them, but I hope I never see them again. Oh my gosh. Okay. But honestly, that's the vibe that we're getting here. So going on to these next 4 cards, these are going to be your closing messages cards on what they think about you overall. So we have the 3 of Wands, the Wheel of Fortune, the Ace of Wands again, and also the Prince of Pentacles. Okay, so right off the bat with the Prince of Pentacles, I'm very much being drawn to this card because they see you as someone who is a go-getter. They see you as someone who takes their time when achieving their goals, but also someone who is very, very good at laying a stable kind of foundation for themselves, if that makes sense. You know, you're someone who has traveled, you're someone who has put yourself out there, you've seen the world, you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, you've seen the beautiful moments in life, you've seen the not so beautiful moments, and I feel like you're someone who appreciates all of it. You're someone who is very well-rounded, and you're someone who has taken wisdom from every moment and every situation, you know, that has arisen. Now, with the Prince of Pentacles, at the same time, I feel like you're someone who is still finding out where they want to settle down, where they want to lie their roots. You know, where is it that you want to grow old, and where is it that you just want to keep growing in general? You know, and maybe with the Ace of Wands, maybe that's the main theme, is maybe they think that you're someone who is going to go travel. Maybe they think of you as someone who isn't going to stick around. Maybe that's why they feel like it's a little bit of a temporary situation, because maybe you live far away. Maybe this is a long-distance friendship or a long-distance relationship, but regardless, you know, they see you as someone who is still deciding, hey, where do I want to be in life? What is it that I want to do? Maybe you're someone who is still kind of going through school, you're going through college, you know, you're someone who is just kind of, you know, going through the motions and growing up and maturing. And honestly, we never stop growing. You know, we could be 80 years old and we're still growing. We're still learning things. We're still, you know, learning things about ourselves at the same time. Now, with the Ace of Wands, you know, they see you as someone who's definitely very passionate. They see you as someone who will start over completely in order to kind of obtain their goals and obtain their passions. But with the Wheel of Fortune, I feel like they're also saying that, you know, maybe they're really hoping that you would close the cycle out with this person, you know, not saying like completely, but like you would end up together, you know, maybe be end game together, you know, because they see that you work together very beautifully. I think that that's something that they really love, you know, about you guys' relationship, because when I think of the 3 of Wands, I not only think about your ships coming in and, you know, gaining that abundance and gaining those beautiful gifts and that, kind of having that harvest come in, but I also think of just people getting along, people laughing, and people having a good time. Now, with the 3 of Wands, these cherubs look like they're working, you know, like they're really having to put a lot of elbow grease into holding up these flowers and these wands. And maybe that's how this family also sees you, is that you're someone who can't fully commit right now because you have your own goals, you have your own commitments, and they don't begrudge you for that whatsoever. That is the main energy that I'm getting, is that they love you. You know, they really do. They have a lot of admiration for all that you do, and especially for your career, but they also notice that you are someone who is still growing. You are someone who is still realizing who it is that you are and who it is that you even want to be going forward, you know, so they don't begrudge you for focusing on your career and focusing on your own passions, but they also see you as someone who, you know, maybe just kind of wants to do their own thing. But at the same time, with the Wheel of Fortune, I feel like they see you also as someone who, you know, the wheel is turning in your favor. Oh my goodness, look at the peacocks. And remember how earlier in this reading, I was actually saying that you remind me of the phoenix and how the phoenix cools down and becomes the beautiful peacock? There we go. And that's the Wheel of Fortune. You know, I feel like they're saying you're someone who is absolutely beautiful. You're someone who is very wise. You're very smart. And they really want to say to you that even though, you know, for some of you that picked this pile, they might not have known you through these really trying times, or through, you know, these situations that really metamorphosized you, if that's a word. But regardless, they want to say that still they're very proud of you, you know, and they can definitely see all of the change in you. You know, maybe even if they've added you on social media, maybe that's something that they've noticed looking through your old Instagram posts or looking through your old Facebook posts, is that you absolutely glow now, and you are radiant, and you shine, and, you know, you just kind of glow. And that's something that they absolutely absolutely adore, especially with the Ace of Wands. I feel like they see you as someone who is living their best life now, someone who's being true to themselves and true to their heart, someone who's always being honest and forthcoming about what it is that they want and what it is that they want to achieve, and it's almost like they're saying, I hope the wheel continues to kind of turn in your favor. I hope that you continue to have a lot of good luck and a lot of good fortune, because you're someone who deserves it. You're someone who honestly deserves the world, but this is also saying, we really, really enjoy all that you bring into this dynamic with our family member at the same time. So I hope that you enjoyed this stack too. Thank you so much for watching this. Oh my goodness. I feel like their family absolutely loves you, and maybe even some of their family members get a little bit tongue-tied around you, or maybe not necessarily tongue-tied, but maybe they feel a little bit intimidated. Maybe there's a sibling that really likes you, or maybe there's even a niece or nephew that kind of looks up to you. But regardless, I feel like you are very much admired and very much held in a very high regard in this family as well. And definitely check out stack 1 if you feel drawn to it as well, because I feel like for some of you that picked this pile, you're also going to very much jive with pile 1 as well. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching this, and please let me know what you think about your pile down in the comments down below. I love reading you guys' comments so much. They make me so happy. But regardless, also leave a like down below if you enjoyed it, and also hit subscribe if you have not already. Also hit the little bell icon next to that if you want to be notified anytime that I post and upload. Also, big announcement. I have a brand new website, and I am so excited to tell you guys about it. All of my spreads are 10% cheaper than they are on my Etsy, because I'm doing a grand opening. But I am so excited. I just listed a bunch of brand new spreads, and I'm going to be listing tarot classes soon and a bunch of other things. So if you feel interested in that, or also want to just kind of join my newsletter, or be signed up for whenever I post new spreads, definitely go do that. My website name is DarlingDTarot.com. I really hope that you will come and check it out. But yeah, thank you so much again, and I hope that you enjoyed your pile, and I will see you soon. Bye! Hello to everyone who picked stack 3. Let's get right into your reading and see what do their family members think of you. So getting into your first 2 cards, these are going to be your animal language cards, and these are talking about characteristics, qualities, and traits that their family members think of when they think of you. So we have number 40, orangutan, and number 39, timberwolf. Woohoo! So this would be the number 4 and the number 3. Okay, so these are really awesome numbers, and I love that we have a 3 and a 4, so it's very much talking about steps, taking things in steps, maybe even stepping stones. Maybe you're someone who likes to feel very prepared. Maybe you're someone who is very resourceful. But I also want to say that with the number 4, I feel like you're someone who is very stable. I feel like you're someone who very much craves stability and craves a very solid foundation, and they really love that about you. Maybe you're someone who is a little bit of a homebody at the same time. Maybe you just kind of like to stay indoors. You love to be surrounded by things that make you feel comfortable. Maybe you're someone who is also very cuddly and warm and open and caring and inviting. You just make people want to hug you. You make people want to reach out and care for you, and just honestly take you under their wing, right? I feel like you're someone who is very loyal at the same time with this Timberwolf energy, and with the number 39 being the number 3. I think that you're someone who is incredibly loyal. I think that you take care of yourself. But I also feel like with belonging down here, maybe you're someone who at times can struggle with a little bit of codependency. And I don't want to say that in a bad way, but I definitely feel like maybe their family notices this, is that you're someone who really loves to be loved. You're someone who loves to be acknowledged. You're someone who maybe even likes to be guided to the next step, because we have guidance showing up here, right? But regardless, it says instinct, guidance, belonging, and order. I feel like, especially with order, that everything does have an order. Maybe it's even driving you a little bit batty, the fact that we don't have the 3 before the 4, right? But regardless, You're someone who kind of believes in a natural order of things, and you believe that everything happens for a reason. I feel like you have a very good head on your shoulders. You're someone who is also incredibly, incredibly loyal. So I feel like maybe you're very into community at the same time. It's kind of like pack mentality is very much what I'm hearing. You're someone who just loves to be around the people that you care about. You want to take care of them. You want to have them in your life for the long term. You are all about that sort of long-term energy. I feel like you are a ride or die sort of a partner. You're someone who is in it for the long haul. I feel like you're someone who can't have very short-term relationships. It's just not sort of your vibe. It's not something that you want to do. I feel like you get very invested in people. I feel like you're someone who is very emotionally connected with people as well, and very spiritually connected at the same time. When you give your heart to someone, I feel like you genuinely give 110% of yourself over to this person. And I feel like their family very much picks up on that, that you are someone who just kind of goes along with things, maybe without questioning it. Maybe we just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. Let's go do that. Maybe you're someone who is fine going out to the same Tex-Mex restaurant like every single night with your partner because it's your partner's favorite place. And you're like, hey, I'm not going to say no to that. It makes them so happy. I love seeing them happy. But at the same time, you're not someone who is going to butt in with your own agenda. I feel like you just kind of go with the flow, and you just kind of trust in the universe and trust that everything's going to work out the way that it's supposed to. Now, we also have like winter imagery in the back, so I feel like you're someone who can be a little bit reserved at times, maybe even a little bit cold. But it's wonderful balance though, because we do have this very warm, inviting card with the orangutan. This is very much saying that you're someone who is very balanced. You have that divine masculine side and you have your divine feminine side. You have that very logical side, but you also have your intuitive side at the same time. So I feel like you're an amazing judge of character. I feel like you're someone who has very striking eyes at the same time, because both of them have very beautiful eyes. I'm being very drawn to their eyes. Maybe you're someone who has hazel eyes. Maybe you're someone who has blue eyes, brown eyes, maybe even green eyes. Regardless, any eyes, you have beautiful eyes. Also, with the winter imagery, I feel like you're someone who studies a lot. I feel like you're someone who, even if you're not in school, you're still keeping up to date with current events. You're still someone who loves to research. You love to learn about new things. You love to keep up to date as well. I feel like for a lot of you, maybe you're really involved in politics, or maybe you're really involved just in current topics, just so that you can always talk about things at parties. And that's something that their family really loves about you. I think that they really think it's interesting that you have as many facts as you do. And maybe that's something that you can even do in the future to continue to impress them, is just tell them silly little things here and there. But regardless, they love the fact that you do take a step back and you think things through. They think of you as someone who is very meditative, because when I think of timber wolves, I think of these beautiful creatures that can just kind of take a step back, and they can stand on their own, but they're still very much in a community. They have the ability to think for themselves. They have the ability to hunt for themselves. They can go forward and just kind of do whatever they want, but they choose to be with their pack. And I feel like that's very much your energy at the same time. Now, with instinct, I very much want to say that their family sees you as someone who is just sort of winging it, right? Maybe you're someone who they see as very lucky, someone who just everything kind of falls into place. But it's also because you are so trusting with the universe, and you are just sort of like, well, everything's going to happen the way it's supposed to. If it's meant to be, it'll be. If it's meant to be, it'll be, right? You were like completely into that. And with the number 4, they're like, how does this person already have this stable foundation? How, maybe you are someone who had a lot of responsibilities already. Maybe you even moved out very young for some of you that picked this pile, and they're kind of looking at you like, wow, you're very, very educated. You're very intelligent. You're very, accomplished for someone of your age, and someone of, maybe your background, or maybe like, because I feel like you're someone who has has seen a lot of struggles. And that is something that is so beautiful about you, is that you are so optimistic and you're someone who is always so positive. I feel like you're someone who always looks to the other people around you and says to yourself, how can I make this situation even better? How can I, allow myself to have fun with these people? I feel like the way that you connect with others and the way you connect in social situations is by making people laugh, by being kind of a class clown, by just having a good time, letting your hair down, letting loose. With orangutan, it says laughter, curiosity, patience, and play. So especially curiosity, I feel like you're someone who asks a lot of questions. Maybe you're someone who, when you went to this person's family's house, or maybe even in the future when you do, they're really going to be impressed by you really wanting to have conversations with them, really saying to them, oh, that's awesome, well, why did you choose that for career? Or maybe just looking around at different photographs and, really saying, oh, well, who is this? This is a beautiful picture, because I feel like this family would be very, very receptive. Maybe there's been families in the past, that maybe they've been a little bit more reserved when it comes to you. But I feel like this family is going to be very warm, very open, and very forthcoming to you, asking questions and to you being curious. They're really going to appreciate it because they're going to feel like you're really taking their thoughts into account. You're really taking their family into account as well. You're seeing them as important, and I think that's really going to mean a lot to them, especially the fact that you are someone who is, so full of joy and so full of laughter. The fact that you will sit still, and just kind of sit in place and have that patience to hear about all of Uncle Joe's old shenanigans, they find that very kind of endearing, and they find that very sincere and very wonderful of you. They really love that about you. And they love how sincere you are. They love how genuine you are and how you are always up for play, how you are always up for a good time. I feel like you're someone who also will break the ice using little jokes. Maybe you're someone who, if there's a bad situation going on, I feel like you tend to diffuse the situation with humor, but for the most part, you tend to just kind of mind your own business, take a step back, and just kind of wait it out. And then once everything is cooled down, then you'll make your jokes. It's almost like you can read a room really, really well, but I feel like for some of you, there have been times where you haven't necessarily read the person correctly, and maybe you've made a joke that didn't go down quite as well, and maybe you're like, oh, well, in hindsight, maybe it wasn't a good idea to make fun of Joey's gum chewing habits, it's just little things like that, so I feel like you mean no harm by it, but maybe the families at times will be like, oh my goodness, but regardless, I feel like they really love the fact that you're always laughing, you're always bubbly, you're always giggling, you're always just having a good time. It's almost like there's nothing that really bothers you, right? And maybe that's something that kind of worries them, is they don't want you to feel pushed around in this relationship or in this friendship. They don't want you to feel kind of taken advantage of either. And it's not to say that you are. It's just that when you are constantly bending to someone else, or like not even bending, but when you're constantly coming to this compromise and saying, yes, we can do this and this and this, I think that they're going to worry like, well, do you really want to do that? Or are you just doing that because you're going to make your partner happy? And yes, there is a lot of, kind of compromise in relationships, but it also has to be very 50-50. If one of you wants to do one thing, then make sure that you're open to doing another thing that your partner really likes. That way you have that healthy atmosphere that you can do anything. It's very conductive. So going forward, we're actually going to go on to your next animal messages card, and this is talking about another characteristic, quality, or trait that they think of when they think of you, or if they were going to maybe tell extended family about you. We have the dog card. Oh my goodness, so this is awesome. I love that we have both dog and Timberwolf. So, both kind of in that pack mentality, both really love, their companions and the people that are dearest to them. It says your loyalty and faithfulness is misplaced by serving too many masters. There we go. That's what I was just trying to tell you about being selfless. Make sure that you aren't just doing it to please your partner or to please your friend. Make sure you're actually doing it for yourself as well, because maybe they see you as someone who is constantly sacrificing themselves. themselves, someone who is constantly saying, oh, no, we can do this, it's fine, really, it's fine, just so that you can kind of make sure everything goes smoothly. Maybe you're someone who doesn't necessarily like conflict. Maybe that's why we have so much play and laughter, because conflict makes you feel a little bit nervous. Maybe some people have IBS. Samesies. I got IBS. I would not do good in a horror movie. Someone would be coming at me. I'd be like, excuse me, I gotta go in the bathroom. But honestly, with this card though, this is very much talking about make sure that you're serving yourself first and foremost, because I feel like this family sees you as someone who is an absolute cinnamon roll. You are someone who is sweet, you're pure, you're just absolutely wonderful. You're everything wonderful in the world. And they don't want you to feel used or taken advantage of or upset, right? So going forward onto your next two cards, these are going to be talking about more energies that they feel about you and that they think about you in general. So we have number 42, direction, and number 28, honor life's cycles. Now, number 42, direction, this would be the number 6. So when I think of the number 6, I think of a people pleaser. To be honest, I think of people who tend to overextend themselves. Robin Williams had a lot of 6 in his numerological chart, so this is very much talking about someone who, is very caring, very generous, very giving, very understanding, will tend to put themselves on the back burner for other people. But with direction, maybe they're saying, where would you want to go? If this person wasn't in your life, what would you be doing? If you weren't being guided? Because the interesting thing is that we have two cards here that are talking about guidance. So are you relying on this person to kind of guide you into what you're going to be doing and where you're going? Are you genuinely on board for all of this? Or are you on board for your own goals? I think that they kind of worry about you, if anything else. I don't think that it's like we don't like this person. It's nothing like that. They're just sort of like, wow, I hope that they're doing okay. They're really good. They're a really nice person. With navigation, guidance, and signs, though, I feel like they see you as someone who maybe is very good with directions, very good navigational skills. Maybe you're someone who doesn't get lost very easily. But at the same time, maybe you're very well traveled. Maybe you're someone who is very good at maps, so you're very good at geography. Maybe you're someone who is very spiritual at the same time, so you follow signs. I saw the sign and it opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. But honestly, with these two birds at the top, maybe it's also talking about if a partnership wasn't necessarily on your mind, where would you be going? What would you be doing? And they really want you to continue to tap into yourself and into your own wants and into your own desires and your own passions and your own career, right? They want you to focus on you. So going on to this third, or this, I was going to say this third card, but I guess it is the third one in this row. We have number 28, honor life cycles. Maybe the number 3 is just kind of a message there. Maybe something's going to be happening on the 3rd. Maybe someone's birthday is on the 3rd. I don't know. Take that if it resonates for whoever it resonates for. But with the number 28, you're someone who can close out cycles. They definitely see you as someone who can adjust to change very beautifully and very easily. You're someone who's very resourceful. You're someone who is very crafty, very much can persevere. You can evolve, if you will. With honor life cycles as well, I think that you're someone who reminisces. You're someone who loves to just be nostalgic, for the day and just kind of tell people about your childhood and tell people about different memories in your life that really inspired you and really made you a better person, because, she's looking at this beautiful orb of light and it's almost like she's conjuring it up from her memories, and it's coming out and it's like this was a time that she had changed, maybe from going into the cocoon as the caterpillar and coming out as the butterfly, and she's remembering that and she's saying, I've grown so much. I'm someone who is so strong. They see you as someone who's very intuitive, very sentimental, very sensitive at the same time, very in touch with your feelings and emotions. And I feel like they also see you in touch with others, and also in touch with nature. So going forward, we are going to be covering your next two cards, which will be your animal totem cards. And these are going to be talking about if they could describe you in just two cards, what would they be? You know, if they could sum you up into two cards. We have the Chariot card followed by the Queen of Pentacles. Woohoo! So these are two awesome cards. Oh my goodness. The Chariot is talking about someone who is very balanced, someone who is very much, going forward very fast. You know, maybe you're someone who travels. Maybe you're someone who is going to travel for this person. But regardless, they see you as someone who is very steady, very stable, very balanced, even as you're making like these leaps and bounds and as you're moving forward and continuing forward into your career. They see you as someone who is very comforting, very nurturing at the same time, very compassionate, very understanding, but they also see you as someone who understands the importance of a self-care routine. They see you as someone who will take a day for themselves, and I feel like that's very different, in comparison to the energy of bending to other people. It's almost like they acknowledge the fact that you are very easy to please, you're low maintenance, and you will do other things for other people, just to make them happy. But at the end of the day, you need time alone, right? Like maybe during the week, it's just sort of like, I don't know, Jacob, I need to go home. I just need to go home real quick, and you go home and you listen to music and maybe you take a bath, maybe you put on a mud mask, but regardless, you just kind of take care of yourself and you take care of your own needs, and you rest. You make sure that you're well rested going forward, because that's when you do your best work. That's when you feel the best as well. With this pentacle and this crown on the side, I feel like when to separate work and play at the same time. You're someone who isn't going to bring your work or your professional life into your fun, because you're someone who doesn't want to be thinking about that after hours. You're someone who just kind of wants to turn that off as soon as you leave the office. You just kind of want to lean on the people that you love and be like, let's just have a good time. Let's not focus on anything too serious, right? And especially with the Chariot, you'd rather just be having a good time, going out, maybe dancing, maybe just getting a good meal, but whatever that might be, you love going out and having a good time. You like not being stagnant or being stuck, and especially in heavy energies, I feel like that's something that makes you very uncomfortable. But it's also saying with the Queen of Pentacles that maybe you're someone who takes your time in regards to decisions. If you were someone to make the first move in a relationship, maybe you guys had a very slow burning romance. I feel like you're someone who is very old-timey romantic as well, almost hopeless romantic. You're someone who would write love letters. You're someone who maybe would buy that person's favorite candies, and maybe that's even this family's hopes and dreams for you as well, is that you are going to, continue to take care of yourself going forward. Maybe they would say to other people, this is someone who takes care of literally everyone. So, they need to take care of themselves as well. But again, with Pentacles, I feel like you're very meticulous. I feel like you take your time and you think things through, because your stability is something that's very, very important to you. And so is your success. There we go. So going on to these next three cards, these are going to be talking about overall energies when their family thinks about you. So we have the Queen of Pentacles again, followed by the Eight of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords. Okay, so right off the bat, I feel like they think that you're really good at communication with this person. Maybe you're someone who is constantly texting them. Maybe you're someone who is constantly sending them emails, maybe even tagging them on things on Facebook or Instagram. You're always sending them something. You're always like, hey, thought of you, bae, and they really love that about you, that you're always someone who is thinking about their family member. They really love the fact that you're always, genuine about your feelings and about your love and about your emotion. But at the same time, with the Knight of Swords, I feel like they see you as someone who can either be very cordial at times, and, kind of hold people at an arm's length, when you first get to know them. But at the same time, I also feel like they can see you as someone who can be a little aloof, a little bit, kind of mysterious. There we go. That's the word I was trying to think of. Especially when they first Taurus get to know you, I think they would be like, oh, wait, what is this person all about? Maybe you come in feeling a little bit shy, a little bit nervous, maybe even feeling a little bit defensive, and they pick up on that energy, because you're very much wanting them to like you. I feel like with the Queen of Pentacles showing up so much, there might be a lot of kind of earth sign influence in your chart. So this would be Taurus, Capricorn, or Virgo. So I very much feel like that would be that energy of, oh my goodness, I hope that my in-laws like me, very much stressing, worrying about it, maybe even feeling a little bit defensive about it. And maybe they kind of picked up on that, but it wasn't anything too bad. I think that they think you're someone who is very, very good at communication as well. Maybe you're someone who sent the first email to them if you guys met online. But with the Eight of Pentacles, maybe you're someone who is constantly talking to them, even when you're at work, even when you're focusing on your finances, right? But you are a hard worker with the Eight of Pentacles. You are someone who dedicates yourself and dedicates all of your energy to your career and to your endeavors. I feel like you are very goal-oriented, especially when it comes to career. You're someone who focuses on the long term and focuses on your kind of money management, right? You're someone who is very good with money. And I feel like that's something that they really appreciate about you, because maybe this person, their family member, they haven't been with people in the past before that have wanted to kind of dedicate themselves to a career or dedicate themselves to a cause, and you're just sort of out here, hammering pentacles for the war effort, so honestly, they're really proud of you, and I feel like they really, really like you. Maybe they wish that there would be a little bit more communication, and kind of to tell you, don't feel nervous about coming around, or about kind of hanging out with us, right? Because we very much like you. So going on to these next 5 cards, these are going to be your Witches Tarot cards, talking about other kind of messages on what they think about you and what they think about the relationship between you and this family member. So we have the Three of Swords, the Knight of Swords again, the Chariot again, oh my goodness, followed by the King of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, get out of town. Okay, so, all right, for some of you, okay, you might be involved with a Cancer. They might have a lot of Cancer in their chart, or they might be just very sentimental. For some of you, maybe you are the Cancer, maybe you have Cancer in your charts, but it might be a water sign individual with an earth sign. Maybe you're the earth sign, maybe they're the earth sign. But regardless, I feel like this is you and this is them. You're definitely this Queen of Pentacles. But maybe their family doesn't necessarily feel like the two of you match one another, right? And maybe at times they feel like this partner is going to kind of drown you. Not like literally, like they're gonna literally be like, I'm gonna drown. No, like they're not going to do that. But with the King of Cups, they're going to maybe overwater you at times. Maybe you're someone who, when you're growing, since you're this beautiful rose bush, you require water, but you don't require so much water that you're literally like drowning in it. And with this King of Cups, we have all of this water kind of gushing up the sides and coming up, and it's wild, it's moody, and with that energy, maybe they kind of worry about you more so with the Three of Swords. Not so much that the King of Cups is going to get hurt, but maybe more so that you're going to get hurt because you are someone who is so loyal. Look, we have another dog here at the bottom of your card. So this is very much saying that you are someone who is incredibly loyal. You're someone who is ride or die. You're someone who is always going to be there for that person. But they kind of worry, like, is this person always going to be there for you? Not saying that they're not going to be, because we have a lot of movement cards. These are really good cards. This is communication. This is just kind of moving forward towards a common goal and towards balance, and just kind of moving in general. But I feel like that's what they worry about. They worry about maybe you getting hurt in this circumstance or in this situation, regardless of if this is a romantic connection or if this is just a friendship connection. They worry about maybe this person will, kind of overwater you, and since you're such an earth energy, you can't have that. You can't have this person coming in, and just watering you, because what do plants do when they're overwatered? They rot. They don't do good in that sort of a circumstance. So make sure to have healthy boundaries is kind of what I'm hearing from their family. They're not necessarily saying like completely give up on this, but they're definitely saying like make sure that you watch out for yourself, make sure that you take care of yourself in regards to this relationship, because maybe this is someone who they can tend to be a little bit moody. Maybe this is someone who, even though they're very mature in their emotions and mature in their love and the way that they show and express love, maybe from time to time they can tend to withdraw and they can tend to not necessarily make that forward movement that you would like. But regardless, and maybe they also just feel like you're not necessarily on the same level. Maybe you're someone who has achieved a lot more success than this person, whereas this person has done a lot of growing up. But regardless, I definitely feel like you guys have a lot to offer each other in a very beautiful way. I feel like this person is very open with their feelings and very open about, their goals as well, where it is that they want to be, where you're very loyal, you're very happy to just kind of go wherever. You're very accommodating. Not to say that you don't have your own goals, because, child, you have a lot of money, right? Maybe if you don't have a lot of money now, you're getting a lot of money, because the Queen of Pentacles, she doesn't go for small potatoes. She goes for everything. She goes for, all that and a bag of chips. She wants to, have enough money to take care of herself, but then enough money as well to take care of the people that she loves at the same time. She wants to be abundant in every sense of the word. So, going forward onto these next few cards, these are going to be your Glow Glow Tarot cards, and these are talking about what their family thinks, kind of your intentions are going forward with this family member. So, we have the Knight of Cups in reverse, followed by the Death card, followed by the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, followed by the Three of Pentacles. All right, so with the Knight of Cups in reverse, with the Death card, maybe right off the bat, they're saying, we acknowledge that maybe your intentions are you've offered this cup of love. Maybe for some of you, maybe this was someone that you offered a cup of love and they denied you. I don't feel like it's that for all of you, but I feel like it's a very, very select few. Okay, so I just wanted to include that, especially with the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Anyway. Maybe there's going to be an opportunity to kind of get back with this person. Regardless, with the Knight of Cups in reverse, and the Death card, I love that it looks like the exact same rider. They're just holding something different. So it's almost like maybe they feel like your intentions are, you're going to come in with this cup of love, and then you're going to come out of it being well, maybe, I don't want to say an ultimatum, because I don't feel like it's that sort of an energy, but I'm trying to think of the word for it. Maybe you'll just kind of be like, look, either we're going to have a serious relationship as the King of Cups, or, we're not going to have anything, and maybe that's something that the family really picked up on, is that you're someone who started off as the Knight of Cups in reverse, but very quickly you're like, no, maybe it's all or nothing, maybe you're someone who, like I said, can't do short-term relationships. You can't do small relationships. You have to do long-term, because you are someone who loves very deeply and loves very fiercely. I feel like you love to the ends of the earth. Now with the Death card, I feel like there is going to be a transformation though, and it's going to be for the better. And I honestly feel like the family is going to be very supportive of it as well. They're going to be very happy that this transformation goes on. Maybe it's a heart to heart. Maybe it's a heart to heart with this person, not to overwater you, not to maybe take advantage of you. And I don't feel like this person steps on you or walks all over you or anything along those lines. But I definitely feel like maybe from time to time they can take advantage of your kindness. With the Three of Pentacles, maybe they have you do a lot of favors for them, because this is all about working together. It's all about projects and, kind of working towards a common goal. I feel like you guys are very, very good friends, in this relationship as well. Maybe you guys work together. Maybe you guys are considering working together. But regardless, I just feel like there is some form of energy of maybe this person, maybe you're making a lot of money and maybe this person is kind of borrowing money from you in some circumstances and you're not necessarily seeing it back. There's a lot of different energy that's going on here. And maybe that's what the heart to heart is maybe this person has to get their own job and they have to make their own money going forward. But regardless, I feel like there is still going to be a lot of friendship. And that's the intentions that their family sees going forward, is maybe you're someone who wants to be like having this change. You want there to be a change, but you still want to have a relationship, maybe a working relationship, maybe just a friendship relationship, but regardless, they do see a relationship, right? So going on to these last 4 cards, these are going to be your Enchanted Tarot cards, and these are going to be talking about closing messages on just overall what they think about you. So we have the Moon card, which is number 18, which would be the number 9, the 9 of Pentacles. Oh my goodness, I love the, whoa, and a 9 of Wands. We have 3 9s and number 4, the Emperor. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is really awesome, right? So the Moon right off the bat with number 9 is, wish fulfillment, but it's also talking about someone who is very intuitive. So right off the bat, I feel like they see you as a wish fulfillment. I think that they see you as someone who can blend into the family very, very nicely, or someone who is very well accomplished, or someone who can take care of themselves. You're someone who is very good in, career as well. They see you as someone who's very driven, someone who can make a lot of money, but at the same time, they don't want you to be taken advantage of, because with the 9 of Wands, they see you as someone who has persevered. They see you as someone who has been through the ringer. Maybe you've been through your fair share of not so conductive relationships, in toxic relationships, maybe even in unions that weren't necessarily the best for you. With the Emperor, though, they see you as someone who is very mature. They see you as someone who can take care of business, and someone who, does want to maybe settle down, maybe want to have children, maybe want to buy their own house. Maybe you're someone who is very much in your divine masculine energy as well. But with the Moon card, very much starting us off is saying you're someone who knows yourself inside and out, and make sure to continue to know yourself, but make sure that you also trust yourself enough to stand up for yourself. Those that pick stack 3, I feel like maybe you guys struggle a little bit with maybe speaking your mind, or maybe when it comes to just kind of saying, no, I don't want that, or no, I don't like that. Maybe you're a little bit too accommodating, right? But with the 9 of Pentacles and with the 9 of Wands, I really feel like they say, you're someone who has been through hardships, but you deserve every beautiful success and abundance that comes your way. Honestly, there is just so much beautiful, loving energy in this reading, and I love this one. I love this stack so much. So congratulations to everyone who picked stack 3. I mean, I feel like the only thing that might feel a little bit negative is the fact that they see you guys a little bit differently. And even then, it's not, because let's remember that opposites do attract. And when you do have 2 people of completely different outlooks, or maybe even, of different mentalities, of love languages, it is that much sweeter to be able to find a way to work things out, because you both will complement each other. You both will be able to, kind of temper the other, if that makes sense. When one is feeling a little bit moody, the other one will be able to calm that person down. When one person is, in need of a rock, the other person is probably going to be the more vulnerable one, but it's going to be a very balanced out relationship, because you both are very different, but still you're going to find that common ground and the ways that you are very similar. And I feel like the family is also going to kind of point that out, especially to this person. So I hope that you enjoyed this stack 3. Thank you so much for watching. Oh my goodness, there were so many beautiful energies in this, and actually it's really perfect because it shows 3 cats on this brooch, and it makes me think of 3s, which would be harmony, and talking about you're someone who's very peaceful, very harmonious, but at the same time with the cats, maybe you're someone who has to have a little bit more independence. Maybe you're someone who has to have a little bit more kind of breakaway free time, right? Kind of like that Kelly Clarkson song, Breakaway. But honestly, thank you so much, stack 3. I hope that you enjoyed this reading. And yeah. Thank you so much for watching this, and please let me know what you think about your pile down in the comments down below. I love reading you guys' comments so much. They make me so happy. But regardless, also leave a like down below if you enjoyed it, and also hit subscribe if you have not already. Also hit the little bell icon next to that if you want to be notified anytime that I post and upload. Also, big announcement. I have a brand new website website, and I am so excited to tell you guys about it. All of my spreads are 10% cheaper than they are on my Etsy, because I'm doing a grand opening. But I am so excited. I just listed a bunch of brand new spreads, and I'm going to be listing tarot classes soon and a bunch of other things. So if you feel interested in that, or also want to just kind of join my newsletter, or be signed up for whenever I post new spreads, definitely go do that. My website name is DarlingDTarot.com. I really hope that you will come and check it out. But yeah, thank you so much again, and I hope that you enjoyed your pile, and I will see you soon. Bye!